There was a hallway in the mind's eye of an entire generation, loud with piano scales, scuffed dance shoes, and the desperate, aching hope of being chosen. Fame wasn't just a television show. It was a promise, a dare, a weekly sermon that talent was enough, that the dream was worth every drop of sweat Lydia Grant demanded, and that somewhere between the music room and the stage, ordinary kids could become extraordinary. It aired first on NBC in January 1982, then ran for 6 extraordinary seasons. Lydia Grant is the beating moral heart of Fame, part taskmaster, part confessor. The woman whose opening monologue about the cost of dreams became one of the most quoted lines in television history. Debbie Allen, born January 16, 1950, in Houston, Texas, was 31 years old when the series began. Already a force, nominated for a Tony for West Side Story on Broadway, trained at Howard University in classical Greek literature of all things, and carrying herself with the kind of authority that made a soundstage feel like a temple. What Allen brought to Lydia Grant wasn't simply discipline. It was love expressed as rigor. Every correction she gave those students landed because you believed she cared whether they made it. Lydia represented the bridge between raw potential and earned greatness. The show's argument that art requires sacrifice made flesh. Allen had won the Golden Globe for the role by 1983, and her Emmy nominations for the choreography alone, she won twice, underscored that she was doing far more than acting. She was the show's artistic architect. After Fame, she took the wheel of A Different World, The Cosby Show spin-off, as producer and director, and is widely credited with transforming it from a lightweight comedy into a socially urgent drama about Black college life. She joined Grey's Anatomy in 2011 as Dr. Catherine Fox and has remained one of its most commanding presences ever since, still executive producing the series in 2026. In 2026, she received an Academy Honorary Award for her incredible career. She is the only performer to appear in all 3 screen versions of Fame: the 1980 film, the 1982 series, and the 2009 remake. In 2026, Debbie Allen is 76 years old. Still dancing, still producing, still, in every possible sense, in the room where it happens. Lydia Grant endures because Debbie Allen made toughness feel like the most profound form of devotion. Leroy Johnson is Fame's wild spirit. The street kid from Harlem whose body said everything his words couldn't, who danced with a force that looked less like performance and more like survival. Jean Anthony Ray was born May 24, 1962 in Harlem, New York, and was just 17 years old when he skipped school, fittingly, to audition for choreographer Luis Falco. One of 2,800 teenagers trying out for the part, Ray knocked the producers off their feet. Falco reportedly said it was like watching Fred Astaire for the first time. What Ray brought to Leroy was a crackling, barely caged electricity. The sense that his movement came not from training but from necessity, which is exactly who Leroy was. Thematically, Leroy was the show's conscience about class, the one student for whom failure wasn't just disappointment, but the only alternative he'd ever known. He had no formal dance training before Fame. He never really needed any. He had briefly attended New York's High School of the Performing Arts, the very school that inspired the show, but had been kicked out after 1 year. After the series ended, the work dried up and the struggles deepened. Ray remained a heavy partygoer with a self-confessed weakness for drink and drugs. As his life fell apart, he slept on park benches. In 1996, he was diagnosed HIV positive. He suffered a stroke in 2003. Jean Anthony Ray died on November 14, 2003, aged 41, from complications of the stroke and AIDS. His last public appearance had been a BBC Fame reunion documentary, filmed just months before his death, where he appeared fragile, diminished, a heartbreaking distance from the young man who had once made standing still look impossible. Leroy Johnson endures, because Jean Anthony Ray made hunger feel like something you could actually see. Benjamin Shorofsky is the show's old world, the gruff, white-bearded music professor whose sarcasm was really a disguise for the love of an art form he devoted his entire life to. Albert Haig was born Albert Marcuse on October 13, 1920, in Berlin, Germany, to a Jewish family. His father a psychiatrist and musical prodigy, his mother a chess champion. He fled Germany for Italy in 1937 as he was about to be inducted into the Hitler Youth movement. He arrived in America penniless at 18, unable to speak English, and went on to graduate from the University of Cincinnati, serve in the U.S. military, and build a career on Broadway that won him a Tony Award in 1959 for Redhead. The man had survived actual history before he ever stepped onto a soundstage. That depth showed in every scene. Sharovsky's impatience with mediocrity was the impatience of a man who knew what it cost to protect art at all. He was also the composer of the animated TV classic How the Grinch Stole Christmas, one of those facts that makes the world feel both smaller and more extraordinary. After Fame, he appeared in a handful of films, including a small role in Space Jam. Albert Haig died on November 12, 2001, in a hospital near Los Angeles after suffering from cancer. He was 81. His wife Renee had died just a year before him. They had been married for half a century. Sharovsky endures because Albert Haig made severity feel like the highest expression of respect. Danny Amatullo is Fame's comedian, the Bronx kid whose instinct for a joke was really a coping mechanism, who hid a genuine longing to be taken seriously behind every punchline. Carlo Imperato was born on August 3, 1963, in the Bronx, New York, and was still a teenager when he joined the cast, bringing to Danny a wiry, quick-eyed charm that felt completely unforced. Carlo's career had started at 13 in the stage musical Runaways, taking him to Broadway by 15. What he gave Danny wasn't just comic timing, it was vulnerability underneath the performance. Danny's recurring failure to graduate was funny on the surface and quietly sad beneath it, a boy who joked because declaring ambition felt too dangerous. During the series, Imperato became engaged to his co-star, Nia Peoples, a real-life romance the show naturally incorporated. After Fame, he appeared in guest roles on Friends and Grey's Anatomy, and in the 2005 film Crazy Love. These days, the family man Carlo works largely behind the scenes as a prop builder and has moved into real estate. In January 2026, he was performing at a Fame UK reunion event in Southport, England, which says something rather lovely about where the real warmth for this show has always lived. In 2026, Carlo Imperato is 62 years old. Danny endures because Carlo Imperato made the desperation to be funny feel like the most honest thing in the room. Coco Hernandez is Fame's voice, literally and figuratively. She is the one who steps forward, who claims space, who insists that wanting to be seen is not vanity but necessity. Erica Fawn Gimple was born on June 25, 1964 in Manhattan, New York, the daughter of an opera singer mother and an actor-writer father. Two people who had found each other in a singing teacher's studio and married in 1963, when interracial marriage was still considered a revolutionary act. Art was not a choice in Erica Gimple's family, it was the language they spoke. She was 17 when she joined the cast of Fame, and did so while simultaneously attending New York's actual High School of the Performing Arts, the very school the show was modeled on. Missing several episodes of the first season to return to New York to graduate. What she brought to Coco was an unguarded brightness, an ambition that didn't apologize for itself. She sang the show's iconic theme song for the first 4 seasons, and her voice became inseparable from the world of the show. Coco represented the dream in its purest form, the girl who arrived certain and grew more certain. After Fame, Gimple went on to star in numerous primetime and streaming shows, including Profiler, ER, Veronica Mars, Criminal Minds, True Blood, Chicago Med, and 911. One of her favorite projects was playing Trish on the CBS drama God Friended Me. Most recently, she played Ellie Fielding in Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches on AMC and appeared in the Netflix hit The Night Agent. In 2026, Erica Gimple is 61 years old, still working, still unmistakable. Coco endures because Erica Gimple made ambition feel like a form of joy, rather than a hunger. Bruno Martelli is the show's quiet genius, the keyboard prodigy who hears everything as music, whose emotional life is expressed not through words or dance, but through his fingers on the keys. Lee Carreri was born Leonard Charles Carreri on January 4, 1961, in the Bronx, New York. And the role of Bruno fit him not because he was acting a musician, but because he already was one. Having studied at the Manhattan School of Music, Mannes College of Music, and Westchester Conservatory. That authenticity is impossible to fake. When Bruno played, the music was real. What Carreri gave the character was a particular kind of introversion, the sensitivity of someone who feels too much and has learned to route it all through the instrument. Bruno represented Fame's argument that art doesn't have to be loud to be important. After the series, Carreri was picked to produce Natalie Cole's Good to Be Back album, which immediately established him as a serious studio presence. He went on to work with Kid Creole and the Coconuts, Nicolette Larson, Sly Stone, and Olivia Newton-John, among many others. He has largely lived his post-Fame life away from the cameras, releasing his own album Aquabox in 2001 and working as a composer and producer in Los Angeles. In 2026, Lee Carreri is 65 years old, a career defined not by celebrity but by craft. Bruno endures because Lee Carreri made the language of music feel more honest than anything spoken out loud. Doris Schwartz is the underdog's underdog, the girl who didn't look the part, who was short and ordinary and refused magnificently to be defeated by that. Valerie Landsberg was born on August 12, 1958, in New York City, the daughter of television producer Alan Landsberg, which might suggest an easy path in, but Valerie earned Doris on her own terms, beating out a young Madonna at the final auditions for the role. What she brought to Doris was a warmth and a stubbornness that felt deeply lived in, and some of the show's most memorable musical moments were hers. High Fidelity became a top 5 hit in the UK. Doris represented the audience, the one who wanted this more than she was supposed to be able to have it. Landsberg had begun drinking as a teenager, and the problem deepened while she was filming Fame, though she managed to keep her struggles from affecting her work on screen. She got sober the year she left the series and has been sober ever since. That is not a small story. It is a quiet act of extraordinary courage, running parallel to the show the audience was watching. After Fame, she appeared in comedy series You Again and All Is Forgiven, and later moved behind the camera as a director and screenwriter. In 2026, Valerie Landsberg is 67 years old. Doris endures because Valerie Landsberg made the refusal to give up look like the most natural thing in the world. Nicole Chapman is Fame's late arrival who became indispensable, the singer-dancer who joined in season 4 and lit the show up from the inside with a warmth and athleticism nobody had quite seen from the series before. Berenia Peoples, known professionally as Nia Peoples, was born on December 10, 1961, in Hollywood, California, the daughter of a Filipino flamenco dancer, which may explain why grace seemed to come so naturally to her. She had been a backup singer for Liberace in Las Vegas, appeared on General Hospital, and knocked on more doors than she can probably count before landing Nicole. What she gave the character was something the show needed by its 4th year: uncomplicated joy. Nicole wasn't tortured by the dream. She ran toward it with her arms wide open, and that optimism was contagious. After Fame, Peoples became one of the most recognizable faces of late 1980s and 1990s television, playing Sidney Cook on Walker, Texas Ranger, Karen Taylor Winters on The Young and the Restless, and Pam Fields, the mother of Emily Fields, in Pretty Little Liars from 2010 to 2017. She also recorded 3 studio albums and hosted her own dance music program. As of 2018, she was living in Topanga, California, studying physics and sacred geometry, which is either a remarkable left turn or exactly the kind of thing Nicole Chapman would do on a quiet Sunday. In 2026, Nia Peoples is 64 years old. Nicole endures because Nia Peoples made the decision to be happy feel like an act of genuine courage. Cleo Hewitt holds a unique place in the Fame story, not as its defining character, but as a footnote to one of the most extraordinary careers in the history of popular music. She was the dancer with the famous last name, the girl who arrived in season 4 trailing the Jackson family legacy behind her like a shadow. Janet Demita Jo Jackson was born on May 16, 1966 in Gary, Indiana, the youngest of 10 children, and she had already been performing publicly for most of her life before she ever set foot on the Fame soundstage. She was just 17. She has since revealed that she was largely indifferent to the series, distracted by the emotional weight of her secret marriage to R&B singer James DeBarge during that same period. What she brought to Cleo was genuine sweetness. A girl-next-door sincerity that had nothing to do with performance and everything to do with who she actually was. What happened after Fame needs no detailed retelling here. It is one of the great arcs in American music. Control in 1986, Rhythm Nation 1814 in 1989. Decades of arena tours, groundbreaking videos, and chart records that still stand. And through it all, private battles, a body she struggled to accept, a family legacy that came with enormous weight, and the 2004 Super Bowl incident that cost her years of visibility while her co-performer walked away untouched. She fought back with patience and grace. In 2026, Janet Jackson is 60 years old, and the reappraisal of her cultural contribution has never been more full-throated. Cleo endures only briefly on screen, but Janet Jackson made every frame feel like a warm-up for everything that came after. Cleo Hewitt holds a unique place in the Fame story, not as its defining character, but as a footnote to one of the most extraordinary careers in the history of popular music. She was the dancer with the famous last name, the girl who arrived in season 4 trailing the Jackson family legacy behind her like a shadow. Janet Demita Jo Jackson was born on May 16, 1966 in Gary, Indiana, the youngest of 10 children, and she had already been performing publicly for most of her life before she ever set foot on the Fame soundstage. She was just 17. She has since revealed that she was largely indifferent to the series, distracted by the emotional weight of her secret marriage to R&B singer James DeBarge during that same period. What she brought to Cleo was genuine sweetness. A girl-next-door sincerity that had nothing to do with performance and everything to do with who she actually was. What happened after Fame needs no detailed retelling here. It is one of the great arcs in American music. Control in 1986, Rhythm Nation 1814 in 1989. Decades of arena tours, groundbreaking videos, and chart records that still stand. And through it all, private battles, a body she struggled to accept, a family legacy that came with enormous weight, and the 2004 Super Bowl incident that cost her years of visibility while her co-performer walked away untouched. She fought back with patience and grace. In 2026, Janet Jackson is 60 years old, and the reappraisal of her cultural contribution has never been more full-throated. Cleo endures only briefly on screen, but Janet Jackson made every frame feel like a warm-up for everything that came after. Holly Laird is Fame's new girl made good, the drama major who arrived in season 3 uncertain of her place and gradually, stubbornly carved one out for herself. Cynthia Gibb was born on December 14, 1963 in Bennington, Vermont, to a ballet dancer and teacher, which gave her a physical grace she wore so naturally people forgot she was trained. She had been a Vogue cover model at 14 and a daytime soap actress by 19 before Forward. Fame asked her to do something harder than either, to be ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. What she gave Holly was an earnestness that could have tipped into naivety but never did, because behind it was real technical skill. During the hiatus between Fame seasons, she was already working in features, co-starring with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze in Youngblood, and then with James Woods in Oliver Stone's Salvador. She received a Golden Globe nomination for her portrayal of Gypsy Rose Lee in the 1993 TV film Gypsy, a performance that showed her capable of inhabiting someone far more complicated than any character she'd played before. In 2026, she appeared in Once More, the Karen Carpenter Story reunion as herself, returning to the role of Karen Carpenter she first played in 1989, a role that has clearly stayed with her. In 2026, Cynthia Gibb is 62 years old. Holly endures because Cynthia Gibb made the hunger to belong feel like the most universal feeling in the room. Christopher Donlin is Fame's all-American heartthrob, the singer-dancer-boxer from Ohio, who came to the school with a jaw like a movie star and a voice that could stop a hallway dead. Billy Huffsey was born on December 8, 1958, in Brook Park, Ohio, and by all accounts found his path to performing through a happy accident. A high school football injury pointed him toward dance class instead, and he never looked back. He studied ballet, jazz, and tap before making his way to Hollywood. What he gave Christopher was a physical confidence that never quite crossed into arrogance, an earnestness under the cheekbones that made the character feel like someone worth. After Fame, he played Emilio Ramirez on Days of Our Lives from 1987 to 1991, and the producers there were so taken with his voice that they had him write and perform several songs for the show. He released his album Contagious in 1989 and toured internationally from Italy to Israel to Las Vegas. He has kept performing in various capacities ever since and remains one of the most enthusiastic participants in Fame reunion events around the world. In 2026, Billy Huffsey is 67 years old, still performing, still grateful. Christopher endures because Billy Huffsey made likability look effortless, which is actually the hardest thing of all. Jesse Velasquez is Fame's poet in motion, the Latino kid from San Antonio who arrived in season 4 and brought with him a cultural specificity the show had never quite had before, a grounded identity that made him feel like someone whose dreams existed within a particular history. Jesse Borrego was born on August 1, 1962 in San Antonio, Texas, the son of an accordion player and singer of conjunto Mexican music, which means rhythm was already in his bloodstream before he ever took a dance class. He moved to Cal Arts in Southern California and won the role of Jesse Velasquez at an open audition in 1984. What he brought to the character was a quiet intensity, a sense that this particular student had traveled further to get here than most of the others and intended to make it count. After Fame, Borrego went on to appear in Miami Vice, ER, 24, Dexter, and Fear the Walking Dead, building a steady and respected career in film and television. His most celebrated film role came as Cruz Candelaria in Blood In, Blood Out, 1993, a performance of such raw honesty that it has achieved cult status. He founded Lupita Productions in 1990 to develop Latino-centered stories. He was recently honored by the San Antonio Film Festival with a Legacy Award. In 2026, Jesse Borrego is 63 years old, one of the cast members whose post-Fame story most fully delivered on the promise of his talent. Jesse endures because Jesse Borrego made the specificity of one culture feel like the universal language of ambition. Elizabeth Sherwood is Fame's hidden spine, the English teacher who asked the students to tell true stories about themselves at a school where everyone was performing, the one faculty member whose classroom demanded a different kind of bravery entirely. Carol Mayo Jenkins was born on November 24, 1938, in Knoxville, Tennessee, and arrived at Fame as someone who had already lived an entire theatrical life. Trained at the Central School of Speech and Drama in London, a co-founder of the Drama Centre London, a veteran of the American Conservatory Theatre, and a Broadway actress whose credits included productions alongside Henry Fonda and Derek Jacobi. She was 43 when the series began. She brought to Sherwood the authority of someone who had no need to prove herself. And that was precisely the quality the character required. She stated herself, "A lot of Elizabeth Sherwood is me. We're not very different at all." After Fame, she appeared in Matlock and Max Headroom, but the pull of the stage never loosened. In 2000, she returned home to Knoxville to care for her mother, who died in February 2018, aged 102. She then became a teacher of acting at the University of Tennessee, which feels, in the most beautiful possible way, like the most in-character choice she could have made. She retired from the University of Tennessee in September 2023. In 2026, Carol Mayo Jenkins is 87 years old. Elizabeth Sherwood endures because Carol Mayo Jenkins made the act of listening to young people feel like the most important work in the world. Time has done what it always does to the people behind a story like this. Scattered them, tested them, reshaped them in ways no television script could have written. Some kept shining. Debbie Allen still choreographing at 76, Erica Gimple still working across a dozen shows, Jesse Borrego still telling the stories only he can tell. Some fought private battles the cameras never caught. Valerie Landsberg's quiet war with alcohol, Naya Peoples' long walk toward a more interior life, Lori Singer's graceful disappearance from a spotlight that never quite knew what it had. And some are gone. Jean Anthony Ray at 41, Albert Haig at 81, both of them proof that the cost of a dream is sometimes higher than the dream itself. Fame told us we could live forever. What it couldn't tell us is how the living would feel. But we remember. We still remember every single one of them. So tell us, which character meant the most to you? Which performance lives in you the way that music lives in a room long after the last note has stopped? Let us know in the comments below. And if Fame was the show that made you believe in your own dream, even for a single burning moment, please like this video, subscribe to Retro Rewind, and stay with us. Because the story of who we were is always worth telling.